Monday, October 25th-ish. Works for me. Regular class, we're going to get into more Shadow Club and creepy kids and stuff like that. And yes, home children, I'm aware we've not read this book for like a week and a half and all of your brains has shrunk. Which is why I also did not make you read over break, because I wouldn't have wanted to read over break, so I'm not going to make you guys read over break. You just had to go home and enjoy yourself and then come back, and then we'll deal with stuff from here and be good to go.
I didn't enjoy myself. I cried for half of my day.
Was it because I kept charging you points for talking?
Oh, dang it.
I know. Let's see. Then there, I do have new cabinets. Home children, I can't show you the cabinets because there's a bunch of kids in the way because, you know, they exist. But there's cabinets over there. You could go on Remind. I sent a picture out on Remind of all the cabinets. They're currently empty except for one kid's backpack. But other than that, I'll put stuff into them. I am not decorating the walls yet. The reason being is I can't until the carpet comes in, because I'm not allowed to put any holes in the wall with thumbtacks until after carpet is in. And it's kind of hard to hang things up without putting thumbtacks in. And yes, I know what tape is, but a lot of what I want to hang up is heavy. I also can't put up the rest of my shelves that go in this area until the carpet's in, so we just have to keep waiting until then. So, cabinets are nice, but still not all. Don't go this way, child. Good God. But the decorating we can't get to yet. I'm already torturing these kids who are missing things. The others of you, here is where you want to get out iPad, and I'm going to have you go and check B points and grade, so I can do an explaining thing to you real quick. If you don't want to check it, that's fine. I was simply attempting to be nice to you. If you don't have your iPad because you gave it to me, then you don't have your iPad. And that's how things work. And if you don't want to check, again, that's fine with me. For my class, you have 3 grades right now. We did the 3 writing assignments before the whole fall break thing happened. As long as you turned those 3 in, you should have a C or higher. Yes, you can use your phone to do it. That's fine with me. Because you had to have at least a C to get to that point. Otherwise, you're probably going to be out of luck. We do have a homework assignment this week, but it's not going to be assigned until Thursday and is not due until like Monday of next week. And you technically get to start it this week, which I'll be actually today, which I'll be talking to you guys here shortly. And then your other big grade is Friday, which is going to be a quiz over the book up to page 74. My goal is to read up to about 60 to 65, depending on how the week goes, and then you'll have to read the rest on your own. So my goal is to read most of it with you, but at some point you will have to do some reading with your own brain. And then hopefully that helps you out B-point wise and stuff like that. Also, B-point wise, those of you who have not lost points, Thursday when we go to the library, half the class period, you're going to have time to work on the homework. And if you've not lost any B points this week, you get to go up to the loft. So yay for you on that one. The drawback is any of you who turned in the homework assignment late for the lottery questions, that counted for lost B points now, because I didn't count that until after I'd updated B points. So if you turned in the lottery questions late, you already lost B points. So that's part of the bummer for you guys on that. All right, so now you can put iPad away here in just a moment once you check it, because we're done with that part. And then there. This we're also done with. I'm not planning on making you guys do it anymore. I am going to leave them over there for you guys to see for bragging rights to the end of this week. Oh, if you attempted it and failed, and we had a number of kids who tried to do it and could not break 11 seconds, I still gave you a B point. So as long as you tried it and stood up and gave it an attempt, I gave you a point. If you got it, you got 5 points. At least trying it was better than the kids who didn't even try it. So they're going to be somewhat nice to you. And then if you were the fastest kid in this class, you got an additional 5 points. And if you're Mrs. Frolic, you have a question.
I do, because I don't want to forget, because at my age you forget. For our quiz on Friday, like I take it. If we highlight in the book, if we take notes, can we use them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The drawback on the book thing will be just turned in by the end of class. So for those of you who are taking it, the same thing will be you have to turn in quiz before you leave that day.
Yeah, but if we take notes.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine with me. I have no problem with the note taking. I just don't want kids to wait till that day to do the reading, because you're not going to have time to do the reading and take the quiz. All right. Then thumbs up monkey. Those of you who hate reading, which again, I completely understand, you can go to the Shadow Club page, and there's an audiobook of me reading each chapter to you. So again, if you don't want to read, you just have to go to it, find the Shadow Club page, and then go clicky clicky, and then you should be good to go from there. Jameson.
What current chapter are we on right now?
Find out when we get to it, Jameson. Alright. So now if you have technology out, I get to be mean to you. Or if you've recently moved seats and realized that you don't get to stay in that seat much longer because you keep turning and talking, we're going to try and help you out with that one too. AR, what's up?
Oh, wait, can I ask this real quick?
Yeah, what's up?
And don't ask me for it. Where do I find my viewpoint at?
Oh.
Unfortunately, you have to go because there was a video I did last Monday. I went through and walked you how to do that video. So if not, you can ask me after class and I can show you. DJ?
For the audio recording that you made,
Uh-huh.
did you recently make that, or like you did that like a long time ago?
Like a year ago.
Okay.
Maddie?
When I looked at my Skyward thing, I had 93 viewpoints, but I turned in 40.
Correct, because I update that over the weekend. Did you turn things in after the weekend?
No.
Is today after the weekend?
Yeah.
Yes. That I know. It's this time travel thing. We'll get used to it at some point. So back to here. This is the. I realize you guys have not remembered the story for like a week and a half. I was trying to help. Oh, hang on. I still have a kid with an iPad out. Let me be mean to that kid real quick as we try to help him. Don't you give me the shocked look. I'm not the. So back to here. So to give you guys just a little reminding events to try and remind you guys what's happening in the story. See, I've enjoyed doing revenge on some of the past. We've already gotten to Cheryl and Jared, and the fact they both have people that they hate. Cheryl, remember who does Cheryl hate?
Rebecca.
Not bad, I think I remember. Who does Jared hate?
Austin.
All right, low-key kind of impressed. And then you guys remember that. So the fact that they have people they hate and they're going to want to get revenge on, and we're going to get deeper into that today. Any kid that gets attention with the principal's a bad kid.
Nope.
We start getting closer to that, not quite, probably closer to tomorrow and Wednesday. We'll get into them starting to do their bad stuff, but keep claiming they're good people. I would intervene if I saw my bully getting beat up. That won't be until the parts you guys start reading on your own, but the bad things start happening to them. Loudly announcing the whole class that someone has had ugly clothes, an example of bullying, that does happen today. We're going to get to an interaction with Austin where Austin starts saying stuff like that. I would report my BFF for doing something majorly bad. That's not towards the end of the book, so we will get to that, just not yet. Lillian?
Can I look at that?
Sure. And then we have our shout out for the book. You guys have that. So this is what your homework is going to be on Thursday. So Thursday to Friday, your homework is going to say, of all the highlighting things you have done, find 10 of them that you think are your strongest ones, and you're going to explain them. So you're going to give me the page number, what it is the thing in the book says, how it connects to your life. So if it says, Joey was the super annoying kid, I hated him so much, you can highlight that and put Bobby in third period, I'm going to strangle that child. And so you're just going to make whatever your connection is to the thing in the book. I'll keep interrupting the book to give you my connections. You just have to make your own connections. All right. Gazebo, because I think it's Cheryl's mom. Cheryl. All right, kids, try to impress me. We have Cheryl and Jared, and then you gave me Rebecca and Austin. Cheryl has a brother. You remember his name?
Yes.
All right, low-key impressed again. They've only mentioned him like twice so far, so Randall's also popped up
I
in
only
there.
know Randall because Miss Randall's my first year.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah. And so, yeah, he shows up a lot more later on in the book. We just haven't gotten to watch him yet. Whose character gets compared to Shirley Temple?
Rebecca.
There you go. She thinks she's all that in a bag of chips. I am not playing that again. And then I think we got to this part with you guys. We got to Austin running across the thing. We did. We got all the way to page 19. All right. So, their junior high is not set up the same way ours is. Ours is just 7th and 8th grade. How is their junior high?
6th, 7th, and 8th.
No, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
7th, 8th, and 9th. And it says that Cheryl and Jared are in the last year of junior high. So what grade are they in?
9th.
So they're in 9th grade.
Dang, they're
And
old.
I think we got to the chronometer?
No.
No. Back here. All right. So we are on page 19. That's where we're going to start with you guys then. Where it says, there we go. On that first morning of 9th grade. That's where we were. Home children. So we're on page 19 at the top, right there. All right. First sentence.
Are we still doing highlighting?
You have to do the homework I just told you about, so as long as you get to your 10, it's up to you. That's why I just got the...
Oh, yeah.
On the first morning of 9th grade, I watched Austin from the stands. He knew I was there. I mean, he had to know. I was the only one in the bleachers. He ran around and around the dirt track in his bright white running shoes that never seemed to get dirty. It looked like he was going to go until the first bell rang. But then he stopped, stepped inside the track, went to the highest point of the oval, and I knew what he was going to do. He did it all the time. His school bag sat there at the tip of the oval track. He took his blue digital chronometer, the one that the coach gave him after last year's final meet, and set it to 0. Then he took his running shoes and socks off, stared at an invisible spot in front of him, straight across the middle of the field, to the other tip of the oval, took his starting position, clicked the chronometer, and took off in his bare feet. It hurt to watch his speed. He tore through the grass like a racehorse on turf. It was at the other end of the oval, much too soon. So this is from one tip to the other, running across the whole thing.
Barefoot?
And it says barefoot, which is going to play a role later on in the story. He likes to run barefoot, which is going to be a plot point later on.
Why?
And then it says he uses a chronometer, which is a fancy word. Chrono meaning time, meter meaning to measure. So it's a thing that measures time. What would be a simpler term for that?
A clock.
Yeah, so technically a
stopwatch.
stopwatch. And so this is like the old-fashioned stopwatch. He's got a digital one. Why they make a big deal of it, I don't know, but the kids always be like, why they call it a digital chronometer? And the answer is, authors are weird. I don't know. So instead of a stopwatch, it's a digital chronometer. Yeah,
That watch looks like a Minecraft,
I can see that.
Minecraft.
Yeah,
Aren't you an author though?
I am. That's why they're weird. He looked at the time his chronometer had logged. Then he pretended to notice me for the first time. He waved. I waved back. He stretched out his legs and went to get his shoes, and then came by the bleachers. What's up, Jared? You have a good summer? Pretty good. What about you? Great, he said. He put his foot up on the first bench and stretched his calf muscle. You like my running shoes? They're Arrowheads. Best running shoe made. Cost almost $200. I nodded. In my book, I highlighted that shoes cost $200 and wrote Air Jordans. Because when I was in junior high, Air Jordans had first come out, and I really wanted a pair. But I didn't play basketball, and they cost $200. And my parents said, no, you don't play basketball, you're not getting fancy kid shoes. And it always made me sad. It looked so cool.
You said Air Jordan?
Air Jordan for me. I mean, that was for me. Maybe if you had these shoes, said Lawston, you might be able to come close to giving me some competition this year, huh? Maybe, I said. That wasn't what I wanted to say. I won't tell you what I wanted to say. You been working out? Yeah, I said. I have been. Every spare moment I had. That's good. Yeah, me too. Every day. All summer I'm at Junior National Running Camp. Hey, guess what? What? I might qualify for the Junior NCAA Championships. Really? Uh-huh. Tough competition. But my time now is averaging a quarter of a second faster than last year's 60-yard qualifying time. So I've been trying to get it even lower. My dad says if I qualify, then next year he'll find me a private coach and train me for the Olympics. He smiled that I'm better than you smile at me. So, what have you been up to? Me? Oh, I went to European Runners Training Camp. Yeah, it's where you run cross-country up and down the Alps all day long with famous Olympic athletes. Really? I sighed. No. I mean, actually, I hung around and I worked at Burger King making hamburgers. It was hard work, that Burger King. It builds muscles in your fingers. I'll bet, said Austin. You know, I was the youngest one they ever had working at that Burger King. Yeah? Well, that makes sense, said Austin. I mean, who else are they going to get through the stupid flunky work but a kid, right? I didn't say anything after that. Well, I gotta go change, said Lawson. Are you coming to the first track meeting this afternoon? Yeah, of course. Well, get there on time, he said, smiling that crocodile smile at me. They're picking team captain today. I wouldn't want you to miss that. He turned and ran toward the locker room. Quick pause. I don't think most of you guys are familiar with the term crocodile smile. If you are, go you. One, you have to know what a crocodile looks like. So the crocodile where it has like a little mouth where it looks like it's always smiling with like a little thing going
But
up,
it's really mad.
but it's not really smiling, it's actually getting ready to eat you. So the problem with me wearing a mask is you don't get to see me crocodile smile, because I did it a lot. It's a crocodile smile is when you smile at someone, but it's not a real smile. It's the smile like right before you eat their soul. Like in my class, it's like, oh, you didn't do your homework and you're choosing to talk out loud right now? That's a good choice. And you're like, you're smiling, but I feel dead inside. That's the crocodile smile. So that's what Austin is. It's like, don't forget to come to practice today. They're picking captain. And you're like, so that's the crocodile smile. Hi, Serena.
When did you grow a beard?
Oh, I watered it over break. You just sprinkle like a little water on it. You smear in beard food, and it just grows. It's like a plant.
Yeah.
Tradition.
Quit talking.
That's why I put out my TikTok over the weekend, so kids wouldn't be shocked when I had a beard.
You know, I was just even more scared.
Glad you should be. Team captain today. Already that smoldering feeling was growing. Austin had done it again. In 5 minutes, he had put me beneath his $200 running shoes and flattened me like a cigarette butt. I also was told that kids don't know what cigarette butts are anymore, so I figured I'd put that up here. That's what a cigarette butt is.
I thought you put your hands on.
So I figured you guys all just know the jewels that your friends are smoking and stuff like that. You don't smash like a jewel case underneath your foot, but the cigarette butts are on fire, so you had to worry about smashing those out and stuff like that. You ain't got a chance against him, said a voice a few feet away from me. Standing there, right next to the bleachers, was Tyson McGaw, who, when it came to being weird, was head and shoulders above the rest. Tyson had stringy, greasy hair, a dirty face, and his left nostril was larger than his right because he spent so much time with his finger in it. Nobody much liked Tyson, and he was definitely not the person I cared to talk to right now. Not after being humiliated by Lost in Space. Why don't you mind your own business, Tyson? People don't like you spying on them. I wasn't spying, said Tyson, mean and defensively, like he was looking to get into another one of his famous fights. Tyson was an odd bird. Half the time, he seemed kind of nerdy and off in his own greasy little world. The other half of the time, he was being nasty and picking fights like he was a tough. The last thing I wanted on the first morning of school was to fight Tyson. Not that I couldn't beat him up. I could. He was kind of weak and scrawny. It's just that he doesn't really fight like a human. He fights more like an animal, kicking, clawing, fighting. Again, I highlighted that fights like an animal, kicking and clawing and fighting, and put my younger brother.
Oh, God.
That's why younger brothers exist, is for you to beat up on them. And my younger brother got to the point that he got to be a really good fighter because my friends and I would beat on him so much. So that reminded me of my brother. Well, spying or not, whatever you want to call it, don't do it anymore. At least not to me, because I don't like it. I got down from the bleachers and began to walk toward the school building. You really don't stand a chance, mumbled Tyson as I passed him. How would you know? I yelled into his face. Now I was mad. You're not on the team. You're not on any team. All you do is watch everybody else's business and stick your nose in it. Don't you have any business of your own? What goes on between Austin and me has nothing to do with you. You got that? Tyson, shut up. I don't think he expected me to get that mad. Just get out of my sight, Tyson. Don't talk to me unless you have something decent to say. I turned and walked toward class. Tyson mumbled something nasty beneath his breath, but I didn't want to push it any further. I ignored him and just continued walking. As I got into the building, my anger shifted away from Tyson and back to Austin. What burned me most was that Tyson was probably right. Conceited, arrogant, lost in space had all the odds in his favor, and I hated Austin all the more for it. And I began to imagine how nice it would be if there was a great conspiracy against all the lost in spaces in the world. what do you call that term for clues in the story that tell you what's coming up later?
Yeah.
No particular reason why I'd be mentioning it after that sentence. I just thought I'd put that out there. Oh, new picture. They're going to go to track practice. Now, I want y'all to know right up front, this is no namby-pamby team, said Coach Schuler as he blew his whistle. Once you're in, I don't want y'all quitting and joining Little League or a soccer club or something like that. This might not be high school. We might not work out 5 days a week, but anyone who knows me can tell you that I expect hard work. Isn't that right, Jared? Right? I said, surprised that he called me out of everyone else. So, if you don't want to be here, leave now.
Yeah.
In the back, 2 7th graders who in one day had already gotten a reputation of being obnoxious stood and went to the door laughing. As they left, one of them turned and said, "Adios, Commandant." Some 7th graders laughed. No one who knew Schuler laughed. I also highlighted that section, the 7th graders who in one day were already obnoxious, and maybe wrote some names next to them.
Where's 7th grade?
What? Definitely was not you guys I was thinking.
Wait, where?
Yeah,
I
we
thought we
were.
were 7.5 graders. What page?
Still on page 24 where we're
I
reading.
know, but like, I got
I
lost.
just know.
Schuler looked at his clipboard. Alright, first of all, boys meet Mondays and Wednesdays. Girls meet Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now anyone who wants to can practice with both teams. As Schuler spoke, my mind began to wander. I looked around the gym. It smelled new, but it didn't look much different than the old gym. You would think that when a gym burns down, a school would build a nice, new-looking one. But no, this gym was a carbon copy of the old one. That's going to play a big role later on in the book, the fact that someone burned down part of the school. And we're going to find out it was not once, multiple times, someone has burned down sections of the school.
Sounds made of arson.
That is arson. And that is going to play a role later on that someone keeps burning things down.
The person's an arsonist.
You are correct again. In each corner of the gym, a different team was meeting. More were meeting outside. It looked like about 40 kids were going out for track. A few more boys than girls. By next week, that number would be cut in half. The coach never cut anybody, but people just lose interest and drop out. By the way, for anyone who wants to do track, that'd be an easy connection to make. Because they're talking about going out for track, and you're like, I also go out for. So just giving you a heads up, if you're trying to find an easy connection, that'd be one. Lost in space sat about 10 feet away from me. He sat in the middle of a crew of 7th graders, already setting himself up to be the team hero for all the new kids to look up to. Schuler flipped a page on his clipboard. As you can see, we have a beautiful new gym. And because of last year's fires, the gym is completely off limits when a teacher isn't present. The doors will remain locked. That goes for the auditorium and just about every other unsupervised place. I know you've heard it from all of your teachers. Now you're hearing it from me. He flipped another page. Next, we have something new this year. Something I think you're going to like. A bunch of the local school districts are getting together to have a sort of mini Olympics. And yes, there will be track events. There were various cheers from around the room, including my own. Yeah, that's the good news. The bad news is that each district enters one team, which means that each school can only have one runner. Various ahs from the group. I kept quiet. I'm sure Austin did too. I felt a knot begin to form in my stomach. Now, before we go down and assign you gym lockers, there's one more order of business. The captain, said Martin Bricker, an 8th grader who had a good chance of being captain next year, but was the only one who thought he would make it this year. Yeah, that's right. This is for old team members only. All right, here are the pencils and slips of paper. Now, when I say so, I'd like all the old team members to come up and fill out a ballot. All you have to do is put the name of the person you would like to be captain this year. What? Don't we get to campaign? Asked Lawson. No, we don't get a campaign, mimicked Schuler. Y'all know each other. You don't need any presidential debates. There'll be one captain for the boys and one captain for the girls. Boys vote for boys, girls vote for girls. If you're not sure what you are, you can ask me and I'll tell you. Someone lifted Sarah Dozier's hand and she elbowed him in the ribs. Okay, now come on up. Here's the ballot box. Please put the pencils back in the can when you're done. I filled in Martin Bricker's name, figuring it was low class to vote for myself, and I certainly wasn't about to vote for Austin. As Austin approached the ballot box, he turned to me and smiled that crocodile smile that screamed, "You loser," from across the room. I smiled that, we'll see, smiled right back at him. When will we have the results? Asked Martin. They'll be posted on the main bulletin board tomorrow by lunch. The group groaned. Come on, it's only one day. Now, when I call your name, come up and I'll give you a locker number. They're going to jump scenes to Treehouse. So that's what they're going to go to here.
Into the next chapter.
Nope, not the next chapter yet.
That's a small treehouse.
It is, which they're going to talk about it being kind of a small treehouse. That's what I was looking for. So that night, Cheryl and I sat in her old treehouse talking, trying to get my mind off of the election. I never remembered the treehouse being so small. I bet it was even too small for Randall to sit in comfortably now. Sometimes I liked growing, but at times like that, I didn't. I remember when I could lie down across the floor of the treehouse. It could fit all three of us, me, Cheryl, and Randall, each in our sleeping bags late at night, telling ghost stories and drinking chocolate shakes, which were still one of my favorite foods in the world. I love those days. Now, I couldn't even sit in it without bending my knees. It had been almost a year since I'd been in it. Cheryl only lived down the street, but we never had much of a reason to go up into the treehouse anymore. By the way, for mine, I did highlight treehouse because I had one when I was a kid. I also highlighted drinking chocolate shakes because I don't like chocolate shakes, but I do like vanilla and strawberry ones.
Exactly.
Chocolate's too much for me.
Chocolate's good.
What?
You get to have your own comments. I get to have mine. Don't you hate on me?
How dare you?
It was Cheryl who had said, let's talk in the treehouse. And I said, fine, figuring it would cheer me up. Now, an hour later, the twilight was more twi than light, and the early September chill had come rolling in off the ocean. What else? Said Cheryl. Come on, keep thinking. I don't know. I can't think of it anymore. Don't you have any imagination? No. Yes, you do. Okay. Okay, I know. I would hang him by his toes, upside down, over a bear trap. Cheryl laughed. Okay, now you're getting really gross. You asked for it. All right, your turn. Okay. Next time she sings, I would throw roses at her, like that one guy did, for her to put behind her ears. Only I would make sure they had lots of thorns on them.
That's fun.
I grimaced. All right, your turn. Okay. I would set Austin loose in Lion Country Wild Animal Park and then see how fast he runs. Next. Ooh, vicious. All right, let's see. I would fill her little lunchbox thermos with hydrochloric acid. Not fair. I said that one at the wedding. Oh. All right, well then, okay. How about a king cobra in her lunchbox?
That's a clue.
It is foreshadowing. You are correct. Did someone mark that in your book?
Yes.
Nah, cheater. But yes, it is. That is foreshadowing also. No, wait. I've got one for you. Why don't we get her a nice date with Tyson McGall? Oh, that's a fate worse than death. We both laughed good and hard, just trying to imagine Rebecca and slimy Tyson McGall together. What a match. I can't believe we're really this nasty, I said. Yeah, but isn't it fun? I guess it was. It was sort of like watching those horror movies. Sure, they're sick and gross and bloody and all that, but everyone still loves them, right? I would now mark mine for that and put Halloween, because I went and saw it this past weekend. And it was definitely sick and bloody and gross, but everyone did love it. I mean, it's not like we're really doing anything to them, said Cheryl. We're not really mean and terrible. It's just a game. Everybody has someone that really irks them, and there's nothing wrong with pretending, right? Wait a second. I just had a brainstorm. We'll pay some bozo to pretend to teach Austin to walk on hot coals. And when he finally goes for it, he'll burn off his feet, and so much for running. You are awful, laughed Cheryl. Then she stopped laughing, thought for a moment. Without the sound of our voices, the night seemed very quiet. I don't think I heard as much as one cricket. Hey, wouldn't it be weird if any of those things actually happened to Austin or Rebecca? Like somebody up there was listening? And yes, that would be foreshadowing again. You are correct. You can if you want to. That's definitely foreshadowing. Well, I'll make sure I keep my eye out for bear traps, I said. She laughed, and I could barely see her now in the shadows on the other side of the treehouse. Like I said, it was small. I could feel her Reeboks touching my Nikes. I wiggled my feet. She wiggled back. It's like Reeboks are like Nikes, like type of shoe. Nikes, Adidas, Reebok. It's from a long time ago. Playing footsie or something dumb like that. And I looked over the edge railing. It was clear that night. No fog like the last few nights. Cheryl's house was the last on the street, and from there you could just barely see the ocean between the trees a quarter-mile away. It was my favorite time of day, when the faint blue glow against the horizon is just enough to make everything look black against it, just after the colors have faded from the sky. Back when we were kids, I always loved talking with Cheryl, even with Randall in that treehouse at this time of day. Ghost stories, or even just stupid talk. And now that we were older and busier, it seemed as though I never really got to talk to Cheryl alone when it was quiet like this. It was different from the old days, but I still liked it. I wiggled my feet again. She wiggled back. And maybe we shouldn't have done all that before. What? Talk mean about Rebecca and Austin. It's like, I feel guilty now. Now that we had stopped, I began to feel it too. Well, it was your idea. Thanks. Now I feel worse. Sorry. Then I gave her her own speech back. It's only words. It's only like sticking your tongue out at them. That's all, like you said. It's only pretend. We're not hurting anybody. Right. It gets all of our frustrations and stuff, so we don't go around being angry at them all day. Right. Somehow, I still don't think I convinced her. I hadn't convinced myself either, so I decided that was probably the right place to stop, and we'll just pick up from there tomorrow. So we'll stop there. Tomorrow, we are going to begin class by me randomly calling on some of you to see the connections that you have made. So if you've not made any, that's definitely going to make it a little tougher for you, but the thing that I've been doing where I would stop and say my connections, I'm just going to call on you and just say, find one of your connections and explain how your connection connects to your life in some way. Dev?
A good connection is one that says, we're not really mean and terrible. And then I did the green.
I can make that connection. I can see that. That would work for me too. I thought you were going to say me because I'm not mean and terrible. And I was like, thanks, Dev. I appreciate that. I feel the same way. Jameson?
The crocodile smile, my 5-year-old brother doing it to me. He thinks he's better than me for some reason. I gotta ask him why he does that.
Same as my neighbor, like the girl that I babysit.